Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. If you can find your way to a seat, please. We're going to get ready to begin. Good afternoon, good Yontif. I'm so happy that you are all with us for this continuation of our day of Yom Kippur, our day of introspection and reflection and prayer and self-accounting. This afternoon, we are together for a grand new experiment here at Congregation Emanu. All of us have been so proud of the tradition that we've had here on Yom Kippur afternoon of using this as a time for getting out of the words of the prayer book and moving into more creative, contemporary expression of the themes of the holiday. So this year, carrying on the tradition of Confessions of our Time, though moving it in a new direction, will continue to be shaped by the aesthetics and the style of that service, combining accessible, contemporary words that speak to our lives and the things that concern us, accompanied by meaningful, modern music that we can sing along with, that can help give an extra dimension to our reflection. This year, I'm very, very excited that our afternoon experience comes to our community as a result of a very thrilling partnership with the Alley Theater. This afternoon, we will be combining with the music of our musicians, whom I'll introduce in just a moment, a script written by Arthur Miller, performed by these extraordinary 5 actors. I'm going to introduce them to you now. I'll give you official rabbinic permission to applaud in the sanctuary so that we can welcome them now and also acknowledge them at the end of our performance. So from my right, we are here to welcome Josh Morrison, Bree Welch, Adam Gibbs, Rutherford Cravens, and Alice M. Gatling. Would you welcome them, please? And providing our music for today, our musical combo over there on my far right, we are joined by Barbara Loser, Joe Buchanan, Dee Dee Dochin, and David Goldstein. Would you welcome them as well? So let me tell you a bit about the script before we begin. The script is called, the name of the play is All My Sons, written by Arthur Miller in 1947. The script that you'll be hearing performed today is a edited and foreshortened version of the script made to fit into the time that we've got and to fit more perfectly with the themes and ideas of our holiday. You'll also hear the actors reading stage directions. These are the directions that Miller wrote for the most part. Since we're not going to be performing a fully staged production of the play, we want to include the stage directions so you can get a sense of what's happening in the story as Miller intended. I also want to tell you that while I know that you will be very, very impressed with the caliber of performance and the new dimension of Yom Kippur that these folks bring to this afternoon, these actors performed together only once for less than 4 hours. So we are very grateful for everything that they're bringing to us and know that this is somewhat less than the preparation that would go into a production at the Alley. I also want to mention, so that you know so that you don't get confused, Josh will be playing a couple of different characters, the character of Frank in Act 1 and the character George in the second. I also want to mention, although I have not seen him here, I think he's preparing for another production. I am very, very grateful to Brandon Weinbrenner, who is our productions director this afternoon. Brandon came to us with the expertise, skill, experience, and heart of his work in the theater to make All My Sons come to life here on our bima as a part of our Yom Kippur experience. I'm very, very grateful to Brandon for his work. I also must mention Elizabeth Frankel, who's the director of new work at the Alley. Liz and I began working on this several months ago, and it's from that partnership, from the conversations that Liz and I had many, many months ago, that this production came to life. So I want to express my thanks to Liz for her friendship, her open-mindedness, her sense of adventure, and all of the contributions that she made to help make this afternoon take flight. And so in just a moment, we'll begin with a piece of music to get us started. As a reminder, as I mentioned in the bulletin and some of the announcements, there are grown-up themes and grown-up ideas in this script, including a reference to self-harm. So I hope that you will make good choices about whether this experience is the right one for you and your families. I am confident that this is going to be a transformative, exciting experiment. I am so thrilled that all of you are with us this afternoon. Again, good Yontif. Thank you to the actors. Let us begin.
Well, there's a house on my block that's abandoned and cold. Folks moved out of it a long time ago. They took all their things, whoa, and they never came back. Looks like it's haunted with the windows all cracked. Everyone calls it the house where nobody lives. Once it held laughter and once it held dreams. Did they throw it away? Did they know what it means? Did someone's heart break? Did somebody do somebody wrong? Well, the paint was all cracked and it was peeled off the wood. Papers were stacked on the porch where I stood. The weeds had grown up, whoa, just as high as the door. There were birds in the chimney and an old chest of drawers. Looks like no one's ever coming back to the house where nobody lives. Once it held laughter and once it held dreams. Did they throw it away? Did they know what it means? Did someone's heart break? Did somebody do somebody wrong? So if you find someone to have, whoa, someone to hold, don't trade it for silver, don't trade it for gold. I have all life's treasures, yeah, they're fine and they're good. And remind me that houses, oh, they're just made of wood. And what makes a house grand, whoa, it ain't the roof or the doors. 'Cause if there's love in a house, well, it's a palace for sure. Without love, it ain't nothing but a house where nobody lives. Without love, it ain't nothing but a house where nobody lives.
All My Sons by Arthur Miller. Act 1. The backyard of the Keller home in the outskirts of an American town. It is early Sunday morning. Joe Keller is reading the Sunday paper. Frank Luby enters through a small space between the poplars.
Hey, what happened to your tree?
Yeah, ain't that awful. Wind must have got it last night. You heard the wind, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I got a mess in my yard, too. Ah, what a pity. What did Kate say?
Yeah, they're all sleeping. I'm just waiting for her to see it.
You know, it's funny.
What?
Well, Larry was born in August. He'd have been 27 this month. And his tree blows down.
I'm surprised you remember his birthday. That's nice.
Well, I'm working on his horoscope.
How can you make him a horoscope? It's for the future, isn't it?
Yeah, well, what I'm doing is this, see? Now, Larry was reported missing on November 25th, right?
Yeah?
Well, then we assume that if he was killed, it was on November 25th. Now, What Kate wants is she wants me to go ahead.
Oh, Kate asked you to make the horoscope, huh?
Well, yeah. She wants to find out if November 25th was a favorable day for Larry.
What's that, a favorable day?
Well, a favorable day for a person is a fortunate day according to his stars. In other words, it would be practically impossible for him to have died on his favorable day.
Oh, is that a favorable day, November 25th?
Well, that's what I'm working to find out. It takes time. See, the point is, if November 25th was his favorable day, then it is completely possible he's alive somewhere because, well, I mean, it's possible. So, did Annie come?
Sure. Sleeping upstairs. We picked her up at the 1 o'clock train last night. It's a wonderful thing. Girl leaves, all scrawny, kid. A couple of years goes by, she's a regular woman. I mean, hardly recognized her. She's been running in and out of this yard for years.
Frank is gone. Chris Keller, Joe's son, enters from the house.
What, the paper?
Oh, that's all right, just the book section.
You're always reading the book section, but you never buy a book.
I like to keep abreast of my ignorance.
Annie up yet?
Mother's giving her breakfast in the dining room.
See what happened to the tree?
Yeah.
Yeah. When's your mother gonna say, huh? Maybe we ought to tell her before she sees it.
Well, she saw it.
How could she have seen it? I was the first one up. She's still in bed.
She was out here when it broke.
When?
About 4 this morning. I heard it cracking, and I woke up and looked out. She was standing right here when it cracked.
What was she doing out there at 4 o'clock in the morning?
I don't know. When it cracked, she ran back into the house and cried in the kitchen.
Did you talk to her?
No. I figured the best thing to do was just to leave her alone.
Crying hard?
I could hear her right through the floor of my room.
God, what was she doing out there at that hour? She's dreaming about him again. Yeah.
I guess she is.
She's getting just like after he died. What's the meaning of that?
I don't know the meaning of it, but I know one thing, Dad. We've made a terrible mistake with Mother.
What?
Being dishonest with her.
Dishonest.
That kind of thing always pays off, and then now it's paying off. You know, Larry's not coming back, and I know it. Why do we allow her to go on thinking that we believe with her?
What do you want me to do? Argue with her?
I don't want to argue with her, but it's time she realized that nobody believes Larry is alive anymore. Why shouldn't she dream of him, walk the nights waiting for him? Do we contradict her? Do we say straight out that we have no hope anymore? That we haven't had any hope for years now?
You can't say that to her.
But we've got to say it to her.
Well, how are you going to prove it? Can you prove it?
Oh, for God's sake, 3 years. Nobody comes back after 3 years. It's insane.
It is to you. It is to me. But not to her. You can talk to your blue in the face. There's no body. There's no grave. So where are you?
All right. Listen to me. You know I asked Annie here, don't you?
Why?
You know.
Well, I got an idea. What's the story?
I'm going to ask her to marry me.
Yeah? Well, that's your business, Chris.
Well, you know it's not only my business.
What do you want me to do? You're old enough to know your own mind.
And it's all right? I'll go ahead with it?
Well, you want to be sure your mother isn't going to...
Then it isn't just my business.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, sometimes you infuriate me, you know that? Isn't it your business too? If I tell this to Mother and she throws a fit about it, you have such a talent for ignoring things.
Look, I ignore what I have to ignore. The girl is Larry's girl.
She's not Larry's girl.
From Mother's point of view, she is. He's not dead. You have no right to take his girl.
I don't know why it is, but every time I try to reach out for something I want, I have to pull back because other people will suffer.
You're a
My whole bloody life. Time after time after time.
You're a considerate fellow. There's nothing wrong with
Oh,
that.
to the hell with that.
Did you ask Annie yet?
I wanted to get this settled first.
How do you know she'll marry you? Maybe she feels the same way Mother does.
Well, if she does, then that's the end of it. From her letters, I think she's forgotten him. I'll find out, and then we'll thrash it out with Mother, right? Dad, don't avoid me.
You know, the trouble is, you don't see enough women.
Oh.
You never did.
So what? I'm not fast with women.
I don't see why it has to be Annie.
Because it is.
Yeah, that's a good answer, but it doesn't answer anything. You haven't seen her since the war. That's 5 years.
I can't help it. I know her best. I was brought up next door to her. These years, when I think of someone for my wife, I think of Annie. What do you want, a diagram?
No, I don't want a diagram. She thinks he's coming back, Chris. You marry that girl, you're pronouncing him dead. Now, what's going to happen to your mother? Do you know? I don't. Give it some thought.
I've given it 3 years of thought. I'd hoped that if I waited, Mother would forget Larry and that we'd have a regular wedding and everything happy. But if that can't happen here, then I'll have to get out.
What the hell is this?
I'll get out. I'll get married and I'll live someplace else.
Are you crazy?
I've been a good son too long. A good sucker. I'm through with it.
You've got a business here. What the hell is this?
The business? The business doesn't inspire me.
What, must you be inspired?
Yes. I like it an hour a day. If I have to grub for money all day long, at least at evening, I want it beautiful. I want a family. I want some kids. I want to build something I can give myself to. Annie is in the middle of that. Now, where do I find it?
You mean... Tell me something. You mean you would leave the business?
Yes. On this, I would.
You don't want to think like that.
Then help me stay here.
All right. But don't think like that because what the hell did I work for? It's only for you, Chris. The whole shooting match is for you.
I know that, Dad. Just, you help me stay here.
Don't think that way. You hear me?
I am thinking that way.
I don't understand you, do I?
No, you don't. I'm a pretty tough guy.
Yeah. I can see that.
Kate Keller, mother, appears on the porch.
Joe,
Hello, Mom.
did you take a bag from under the sink?
Oh, yeah, I put it in the garbage, the pail.
Get it out of the pail. That's my potatoes.
I thought it was garbage.
Will you do me a favor, Joe? Don't be helpful.
I can afford a bag of potatoes.
Minnie scoured that pail in boiling water last night. It's cleaner than your teeth.
I don't understand why, after I worked 40 years and I got a maid, why I got to take out the garbage.
If you would make up your mind that every bag in the kitchen isn't full of garbage, you wouldn't be throwing out my vegetables. Last time it was the onions.
I don't like garbage.
Well, then don't eat.
That settles you for today.
Yeah, I'm in last place again. I don't know, once upon a time I used to think that when I got money again, I would have a maid and my wife would take it easy. Now I got money, I got a maid, and my wife is working for the maid.
It's her day off. What are you crabbing about?
Isn't Annie finished eating?
Oh, she'll be right out. Oh, that wind did some job on this place. So much for that, thank God.
Sit down, take it easy.
I've got such a funny pain on top of my head.
Can I get you an aspirin?
Mother picks a few petals off ground.
No more roses. It's so funny. Everything decides to happen at the same time. Oh, this month is his birthday, his tree blows down, Annie comes. Everything that happens seems to be coming back. I was just down in the cellar, and what do I stumble over? His baseball glove. I haven't seen it in a century.
Don't you think Annie looks well?
Fine. There's no question about it. She's a beauty. I still don't know what brought her here. I mean, not that I'm not glad to see her, but...
I just thought we'd all like to see each other again. And I wanted to see you myself.
The only thing is, I think her nose got longer. But I'll always love that girl. She's the one that didn't jump into bed with somebody else just as soon as it happened with her fella.
What are you...
Never mind. Most of them didn't wait till the telegrams were opened. I'm just glad she came, so you can see I'm not completely out of my mind.
But just because she isn't married doesn't mean she's been mourning Larry.
Why then isn't she?
Oh, well, it could have been any number of things.
Like what, for instance?
I don't know, whatever it is. Can I get you an aspirin?
Well, it's not like a headache.
You don't sleep, that's why. She's wearing out more bedroom slippers than shoes.
I had a terrible night. I never had a night like that.
What is it, Mom? Did you dream?
More than a dream.
About Larry?
You know, I was fast asleep, and remember the way he used to fly low past the house when he was in training? And when we used to see his face in the cockpit going by? That's the way I saw him, only high up, way, way up where the clouds are. I mean, he was so real, I could reach out and touch him. And suddenly, he started to fall. And crying to me, you know, Mom, Mom. I could hear him like he was in the room. Mom! It was his voice. I mean, if I could touch him, I knew I could stop him. If only I could. And I woke up, and it was so funny. The wind. It was like the roaring of his engine. I came out here. I must have still been half asleep. I mean, I could hear that roaring like he was going by. The tree snapped right in front of me. And I came awake. See? We should have never planted that tree. I said so in the first place. It was too soon to plant a tree for him.
Too soon?
We rushed into it. Everybody was in such a hurry to bury him. I said not to plant it. I told you.
Mother, the wind blew it down. What significance has that got? What are you talking about? Mother, please, don't go through it all again, will you? It's no good. It doesn't accomplish anything. I've been thinking, you know, maybe we ought to put our minds to forgetting him.
That's the third time you've said that this week.
Because it's not right. We never took up our lives again. We're like at a railroad station waiting for a train that never comes in.
Get me an aspirin, huh?
Sure. And let's break out of this, huh, Mom? Now, I thought the four of us might go out to dinner a couple of nights, maybe go dancing out at the shore.
Fine. We can do it tonight.
It's well with me.
Sure. Let's have some fun. You'll start with the aspirin.
Chris goes up and into house.
Why did he invite her here?
Why does that bother you?
She's been in New York 3.5 years. Why all of a sudden?
Well, maybe he just wanted to see her again.
Nobody comes 700 miles just to see.
Well, what do you mean? He lived next door to the girl all his life. Why shouldn't he want to see her again? What? Nuh-uh, don't look at me like that. He didn't tell me anything more than he told you.
He's not going to marry her.
Well, how do you know he's even thinking of it?
It's got that about it.
Well, so what?
Okay, what's going on here, Joe?
Oh, now listen, kid.
She's not his girl, Joe. She knows she's not.
You can't read her mind.
Then why is she still single? New York is full of men. Why isn't she married? Probably 100 people told her she's foolish, but she's waited.
Well, how do you know why she waited?
She knows what I know, that's why. She's faithful as a rock. In my worst moments, I think of her waiting, and I know again that I'm right.
Look, it's a nice day. Why are we arguing?
Look, nobody in this house does take her faith away, Joe. Strangers might, but not his father and not his brother.
What do you want me to do? What do you want?
I want you to act like he's coming back.
But
both of you. Don't think I haven't noticed you since Chris invited her. I won't stand for any nonsense.
But Kate...
Because if he's not coming back, then I'll kill myself.
What?
Okay, laugh. Laugh at me. But why did that happen the very night she came back? Okay, laugh. But there are meanings in such things.
Okay.
She goes to sleep in his room, and his memorial breaks in pieces. Look at it, Joe. Look at it.
Calm yourself.
Believe with me.
All right, calm yourself.
Okay, I can't stand all alone. Only last week, a man turned up in Detroit, missing longer than Larry. You read it yourself.
All right, calm yourself.
You, above all, have got to believe. You.
Why me above all?
Just don't stop believing.
What does it mean, huh? Above all.
Anne and Chris appear on the porch.
Take a breath of that air, kid. You never get air like that in New York.
Annie, where did you get that dress?
Oh, I couldn't resist. I'm taking it right off before I ruin it. How's that for 3 weeks' salary?
Isn't she the most... It's gorgeous. Simply gorgeous.
No kidding now. Isn't she the prettiest gal you ever saw?
You gained a little weight, didn't you, darling?
What comes and goes?
Look how nice her legs turned out.
Boy, the poplars sure got thick.
Well, it's 3 years, Annie. We're getting old, kid.
How does Mom like New York?
Oh, why did they take our hammock away?
Oh, no, it broke a couple of years ago.
What broke? He had one of his light lunches and flopped onto it.
Well, let's eat at the shore tonight. Raise some hell around here like we used to, before Larry went.
You think of him. You see? She thinks of him.
Well, what do you mean, Kate?
Nothing. Just that you remember him. He's in your thoughts.
That's a funny thing to say. How could I help from remembering him?
Did you hang up your things?
Yeah. Say, you're sure gone in for clothes. I could hardly find room in the closet.
No, don't you remember? That's Larry's room.
Oh, you mean they're Larry's?
Didn't you recognize them?
Oh, well, it never occurred to me that you'd... I mean, the shoes are all shined.
Yes, dear. For so long, I've been aching to have a conversation with you, Annie. Tell me something.
What?
I don't know. Something nice.
She means, do you go out much?
Oh, shut up.
Are they serious?
Why don't you both choke?
Annie, you can't go into a restaurant with this woman anymore. In 5 minutes, 39 strange people are sitting around the table telling her their life story.
If I can't ask Annie a personal question...
Asking is all right, but don't beat her on the head. You're beating her.
Don't let them bulldoze you. Ask me anything you like. What do you want to know, Kate? Come on, let's gossip.
She's the only one that's got any sense. Your mother. She's not getting a divorce, huh?
No, she's calmed down about all that. I think that when he gets out, they'll probably live together. In New York, of course.
Oh, that's fine. Because your father is still... he's a decent man after all is said and done.
Oh, I don't care. She can take him back if she likes.
And you? You go out much?
You mean, am I still waiting for him?
Well, no, I don't expect you to wait for him,
But that's what you mean, isn't it?
Well, yes.
Well, I'm not, Kate.
You're not.
No. Isn't it ridiculous? You don't really imagine that he's...
I know, dear, but don't say it's ridiculous because the papers were full of it. I don't know about New York, but there was a half a page about a man missing even longer than Larry, and he turned up from Burma.
He couldn't have wanted to come home very badly, Mom.
Don't be so smart.
You can have a hell of a time in Burma.
So I've heard.
Mother, I'll bet you money that you're the only woman in the country who after 3 years is still...
Oh, you're sure?
Yes, I am.
Well, if you're sure, then you're sure. Maybe they don't say it on the radio, but I'm sure that in the dark at night, they're still waiting for their son.
Mother, you're absolutely...
Okay, don't be so damn smart. Now stop it. There are just a few things that you don't know. All of you. And I'll tell you one of them, Annie. Deep, deep in your heart, you've always been waiting for him.
No, Kate.
But deep in your heart, Annie...
She ought to know, shouldn't she?
Don't let them tell you what to think. Listen to your heart. Only to your heart.
Well, why does your heart say that he's still alive?
Because he has to be.
But why, Kate?
Because certain things have to be, and certain things can never be. Like the sun has to rise. It has to be. That's why there's God. Otherwise, anything could happen. But there's God. So certain things can never happen. I would know, Annie. Just like I knew the day he went into that terrible battle. Did he write me? Was it in the papers? No. But that morning, I couldn't raise my head off the pillow. Ask Joe. Suddenly I knew. I knew. And he was nearly killed that day. And you know I'm right.
No, Kate.
Annie, how are you? Gee whiz.
Why, Frank, you're losing your hair.
Oh, he's got responsibilities.
Gee whiz.
Without Frank, the stars wouldn't know when to come out.
You look more womanly. I mean, you've matured. Geez.
Take it easy, Frank. You're a married man.
Are you still haberdashing?
Why not? Maybe I too can get to be president. Hey, how's your brother? He got his degree, I hear.
Oh, George has his own office now.
You don't say. And your dad? Is he,
Fine.
Well, how about it? Does Dad expect a parole soon?
Oh, I really don't know.
I mean, because I feel, that if an intelligent man like your father is put in prison, there ought to be a law that says you either execute him or you let him go after a year.
Want a hand with the ladder, Frank?
Oh, that's all right. I'll finish that horoscope tonight, Kate. Hey, see you later, Ann. You look wonderful.
Haven't they stopped talking about Dad?
Nobody talks about him anymore.
Yeah, gone and forgotten, kid.
Well, tell me, because I don't want to meet anybody on the block if they're gonna...
No, I don't want you to worry about it.
Do you still remember the case, Joe? Do they still talk about you?
No, the only one who still talks about it is my wife.
That's because you keep on playing policeman with the kids. All their parents hear out of you is jail, jail, jail.
All right, what actually happened is when I got home from the penitentiary, the kids got very interested in me. They thought I was the expert on the jail situation. Over the years, it got kind of confused, and I ended up a detective.
Except that they didn't get it confused. He hands out police badges from the Post Toasties boxes.
Well, it's wonderful to hear you laughing about it.
What'd you expect?
The last thing I remember on this block was one word. Murderers. Remember that, Kate? Miss Hammond standing in front of our house and yelling that word? She's still around, I suppose.
Well, they're all still around.
No, don't listen to her. Every Saturday night, the whole gang is playing poker in this harbor. All the ones who yelled murderer are taking my money now.
Don't, Joe. She's a sensitive girl. Don't fool her. They still remember about Dad. It's different with him, though. He was exonerated. Your father is still there. That's why I wasn't so enthusiastic about your coming. Honestly, I know how sensitive you are, and I told Chris, I said...
Listen, you do like I did, and you'll be all right. Day I come home, I get out of my car, but not in front of the house, on the corner. You should have been there, Annie. You too, Chris. You'd have seen something. Everybody knew I was getting out that day. The porches were loaded. Picture it now. None of them believed I was innocent. Story was, I pulled a fast one to get myself exonerated. So I got him out of my car, and I walked down the street, but very slow, and with a smile. The beast. I was the beast. The guy who had sold crack cylinder heads to the Army Air Force. The guy who made 21 P-40s crash in Australia. Kid, I was walking down the street that day. I was guilty. Guilty as hell, except I wasn't. And I had a court paper in my pocket to prove I wasn't. And I walked past those porches. Result, 14 months later, I had one of the best shops in the state again, a respected man again, bigger than ever.
Joe McGuts.
That's the only way you can lick him, kid, is guts. The worst thing you did was to move away from here. You made it tough on your father when he gets out. That's why I tell you, I'd like to see him move right back here on this block.
How could they move back?
Well, it ain't going to end till they move back. till people play cards with him again and talk with him and smile with him. You play cards with a man, you know he can't be a murderer. And the next time you write him, I'd like you to tell him just what I said. You hear me?
You don't hold anything against him?
Annie, I never believed in crucifying people.
But he was your partner. He dragged you through the mud.
But he ain't my sweetheart. But you gotta forgive, don't you?
You either, Kate? Don't you feel any...
Next time you write Dad, you tell...
I don't write him.
Well, every now and then you...
No, I've never written him. Neither has my brother. Do you feel this way too?
He murdered 21 pilots.
What the hell kind of talk is that?
That's not a thing to say about a man.
Well, what else can you say? When they took him away, I followed him. I went every day visiting him, and I was crying all the time until the news came about Larry. And then I realized it's wrong to pity a man like that. Father or no father, there's only one way to look at him. He knowingly shipped out parts that would crash an airplane. How do you know Larry wasn't one of them?
I was waiting for that. As long as you're here, Annie, I want to ask you never to say that again.
You surprised me. I thought you'd be mad at him.
What your father did had nothing to do with Larry. Nothing.
But we can't know that.
As long as you're here,
But Kate, that...
put that out of your head.
Because...
That's all. That's enough. Come inside now and have some tea with me.
The one thing...
He's not dead, so there's no argument. Now come.
In a minute. Now look, Annie.
Mother turns and goes into house.
All right, Dad, forget it.
No. She doesn't feel that way, Annie.
I'm sick of the whole subject. Now cut it out.
You want her to go on like this? Those cylinder heads went into P-40s only. What is the matter with you? You know Larry never flew a P-40.
So who flew those P-40s? Pigs?
The man was a fool. But don't make a murderer out of him. You got no sense. Look what it does to her. Listen, you got to appreciate what was doing in the shop that year. The both of you. It was a madhouse. Every half hour, the major calling for cylinder heads. They were whipping us with the telephone. Every half hour. The trucks were hauling them away, hot damn near. I mean, you just try to see it human. Human. All of a sudden, the batch comes out with a crack. That happens. That's business. A fine, hairline crack. All right. So he's a little man, your father. He always scared of loud voices. What'll the major say? What'll I say? Have an egg production shot. You know what I mean? Human. So he takes out his tool and he covers over the cracks. All right, that was wrong. That's bad. But that's what a little man does. If I could have gone in that way, I'd have told him, junk him, Steve. You can afford it. We can afford it. But alone, he was afraid. But I know he meant no harm. He believed they'd hold up 100%. That's a mistake. That ain't murder. You mustn't feel that way about him. You understand me? It ain't right.
Joe, let's just forget it, okay?
Annie, the day the news came about Larry, your dad was in the cell next to mine. He cried, Annie. He cried half that night.
He should have cried all night.
Annie, I don't understand you.
Are you going to stop it?
Don't yell at him. He just wants everybody happy.
Okay. That's my sentiments. Can you stand a steak?
And champagne.
And champagne. Yes, that's the ticket. Yeah. We're gonna go out tonight, and we're gonna have a hell of a time. Gonna call Swanson for a table. Big time tonight, Annie.
You can't scare me.
I like that girl. Wrap her up. You got nice legs, Annie. I want to see everybody drunk tonight. Oh, look at him. He's blushing.
Keller exits into the house.
Drink your tea, Casanova. Isn't he a great guy?
You're the only one I know who still loves his parents.
I know. It went out of style, didn't it?
It's all right. It's a good thing. You know, it's lovely here. The air is sweet.
You're not sorry you came?
Not sorry, no. But I'm not going to stay.
Why?
Well, in the first place, your mother as much told me to go.
Oh, well,
You saw that. And then you've been kind of,
what?
well, kind of embarrassed ever since I got here.
Well, the trouble is, I planned on kind of sneaking up on you over a period of a week or so, but they take it for granted that we're all set.
I knew they would. Your mother, anyway.
How did you know?
Well, from her point of view, why else would I come?
Well, would you want to? I guess, you know, this is why I asked you to come.
I guess this is why I came.
Man, I love you. I love you a great deal. I love you. I have no imagination. That's all I know how to tell you. I'm embarrassing you.
No.
I didn't want to tell it to you here. I wanted some place we'd never been, a place where we'd be brand new to each other. You feel it's wrong here, don't you? This yard, the chair. I want you to be ready for me. I don't want to win you away from anything.
Chris, I've been ready for a long, long time.
Then he's gone forever? You sure?
I almost got married 2 years ago.
Well, why didn't you?
You started to write me
You felt something that far back?
every day since.
Why didn't you let me know?
Well, I was waiting for you, Chris. Till then, you never wrote. And when you did, what did you say? You sure can be ambiguous, you know?
Give me a kiss, Anne. God, I kissed Annie. I kissed Annie. How long have I been waiting to kiss you?
I'll never forgive you. Why did you wait all these years? All I've done is sit around and wonder if I was crazy for thinking of you.
Annie, we're gonna live now, and I'm gonna make you so happy.
Well, not like that, you're not.
I kissed you.
Well, like Larry's brother. Do it like you, Chris.
Let's drive someplace. I want to be alone with you.
Well, what is it, Chris? What's wrong?
No, nothing like that.
No, really, what's wrong? Is it your mother? Even in your letters, there was something ashamed.
Yes, I suppose I have been. But it's going from me.
You've got to tell me.
I don't know how to start.
Well, it would never work this way.
It's all mixed up with so many other things. You remember overseas, I was in command of a company.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I lost them.
How many?
Just about all.
Oh, gee.
Now, it takes a little time to toss that off because they weren't just men. For instance, one time, it had been raining several days, and this kid came to me, and he gave me his last pair of dry socks. Put them in my pocket. Now, that's only a little thing, but that's the kind of guys I had. They didn't die. They killed themselves for each other. And I mean that exactly. A little more selfish, and they'd have been here today. And I got an idea watching them go down. Everything was being destroyed, see, but it seemed to me that one new thing was made, a kind of responsibility. Man for man, you understand me? To show that, to bring that onto the earth again like some kind of a monument, and everyone would feel it standing there behind him, and it would make a difference to him. And then I came home, and it was incredible. There was no meaning in it here. The whole thing to them was a kind of a bus accident. I went to work with Dad, and in that rat race again, I felt, well, what you said, ashamed somehow. Because nobody was changed at all. It seemed to make suckers out of a lot of guys. I felt wrong to be alive, to open the bank book, to drive the new car, to see the new refrigerator. I mean, you You can take those things out of a war, but when you drive that car, you've got to know that it came out of the love a man can have for a man. You've got to be a little better because of that. Otherwise, what you have is really loot, and there's blood on it. I didn't want to take any of it, and I guess that included you.
And you still feel that way?
Oh, I want you now, Annie.
Because you mustn't feel that way anymore. Because you have a right to whatever you have. Everything, Chris. You understand? To me, too. And the money. There's nothing wrong in your money. Your father put hundreds of planes in the air. You should be proud. A man should be paid for that.
Oh, Annie, I'm going to make a fortune for you.
The phone rings from inside.
What'll I do with a fortune?
Keller enters from house.
Annie, your brother. What is this, Labor Day?
Oh.
Huh?
All right.
Well, nobody told me it was Labor Day. Where's the hot dogs?
Yeah, all right, you said it once.
Well, as long as I know it's Labor Day, from now on I'll wear a bell around my neck.
He's so subtle.
George Bernard Shaw is an elephant.
Oh, hey, you kissed it out of my head. Your brother is on the phone.
My brother?
Yeah, George, long distance.
Oh, what's the matter? Is anything wrong?
I don't know, Kate's talking to him. Hurry up, she's gonna cost him $5.
I wonder if we ought to tell your mother. I mean, I'm not very good at arguments.
We'll wait till tonight, after dinner. Now don't get tense, just leave it to me. Go ahead, Ann.
What are you telling her?
We're getting married, Dad. Well, don't you say anything.
No, I'm glad. I'm just, George is calling from Columbus.
Columbus?
Yeah, did Annie tell you he was going to see his father today?
No, I don't think she knew anything about it.
Chris, you think you know her pretty good?
What kind of question is that?
I'm just wondering, all these years, George don't go to see his father, suddenly he goes and she comes here.
Well, what about it?
I don't know, it's crazy, but it comes to my mind. She don't hold nothing against me, does she?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just talking. But to his last day in court, the man blamed it all on me, and this is his daughter. I mean, if she was sent here to find out something.
Wait, why? What is there to find out?
What?
Why are you so excited, George? What happened there?
I mean, if they want to open up the case again for the, the nuisance value to hurt us.
Dad, how could you think that of her?
But what did he say to you, for God's sake?
Yeah, it couldn't be, huh?
Dad, you amaze me.
All right, forget it. I want a clean start for you, Chris. Yeah, I want a clean start. Put a new sign up over the plant. Christopher Keller Incorporated, huh?
J.O. Keller is good enough.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, I'm going to build you a house, stone, with a driveway from the road. I want you to spread out, Chris. I want you to use what I made for you, I mean, with joy. Chris, without shame, with joy.
I will, Dad.
Yeah. Say it to me.
Why?
Well, because sometimes I think you're ashamed of the money.
Dad, you don't have to tell me this.
Look, Chris, I'll go to work on Mother for you. We'll get her so drunk tonight we'll all get married. There's gonna be a wedding, kid, like you've never seen. Champagne, tuxedos.
Simply because when you get excited, you don't control yourself. What did he tell you? All right, come then. Yes, they'll all be here. Nobody's running away from you. And try to get a hold of yourself, will you? All right. Goodbye.
Anne and Mother come out from house.
Something happened?
He's coming here?
On the 7 o'clock. He's in Columbus. I told him it would be all right.
Sure, fine. Your father looks sick?
No, George didn't say he was sick. I don't know. I suppose it's something stupid. You know my brother. Let's go for a drive somewhere.
Oh, sure. Hey, give me the keys, Dad.
Drive through the park. It's beautiful now.
Come on, Ann. Be back right away.
See you.
Anne and Chris exit up driveway.
What does George want?
He's been in Columbus since this morning with Steve. He's got to see Annie right away, he says.
What for?
I don't know. He's a lawyer now, Joe. George is a lawyer. All these years, he's never ever sent a postcard to Steve.
So
Since he
what?
got back from the war, not a postcard.
So what?
Well, and suddenly he takes an airplane from New York to see him. An airplane.
Well, so?
Why?
I don't read minds, do I?
Okay, why, Joe? What has Steve suddenly got to tell him that he takes an airplane to see him?
What do I care about what Steve's got to tell him?
You sure, Joe?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Be smart now, Joe. The boy is coming. Be smart.
Did you hear what I said? I'm sure.
All right. Joe, be smart.
Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha, Vena Shuva, Vena Shuva. Kadesh, Kadesh, Yamenu Kekedesh. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha, Vena Shuva, Vena Shuva. Kadesh, Kadesh, Yamenu Kekedesh.
Act 2. As twilight falls that evening, Chris is discovered sawing the broken-off tree, leaving Stump standing alone. Mother appears on porch.
Did you have to put your good pants on to do that? You notice there's more light with that thing gone?
Why aren't you dressed?
Oh, it's suffocating upstairs. I made a grape drink for Georgie. He always liked grape. Why don't you come and have some?
Well, come on, get dressed. And what's Dad sleeping so much for?
He's worried. When he's worried, he sleeps. You know, we're dumb, Chris. Dad and I are stupid people. We don't know anything. You've got to protect us.
You're silly. What's there to be afraid of?
To his last day in court, Steve never gave up on the idea that Dad made him do it. If they're going to open the case again, I won't live through it.
George is just a damn fool, Mother. How can you take him seriously?
Hey, that family hates us. Maybe even Annie.
Oh, now, Mother.
You think just because you like everybody, they like you.
All right, stop working yourself up. Just leave everything to me.
When George goes home, tell her to go with him.
Don't worry about Annie.
Okay, Steve is her father, too.
Are you going to cut it out? Now, come.
Okay, you don't realize how people can hate Chris. They can hate so much they'll tear the world to pieces.
Hey, look. She's dressed already. I've got to put on a shirt.
Are you feeling well, Kate?
Oh, what's the difference, dear? There are certain people, you know, the sicker they get, the longer they live.
You look nice.
We're going to tell her tonight.
Absolutely. Don't worry about it.
I wish we could tell her now. I can't stand scheming. My stomach gets hard.
No, it's not scheming. We'll just get her in a better mood.
Joe, are you going to sleep all day?
The only one who's relaxed is your father. He's fast asleep.
I'm relaxed.
Are you?
Yeah, look.
Minutes later, following a visit from a neighborhood gossip.
Why didn't you tell me?
Tell you what?
She says that they think Joe is guilty.
What difference does it make what they think?
Well, I don't care what they think. I don't understand why you took the trouble to deny it. You said that it was all forgotten.
I didn't want you to feel there was anything wrong in you coming here, that's all. I know a lot of people think my father was guilty, and I assume there might be some question in your mind.
But I never once said that I suspected him.
Nobody says it.
Chris, I know how much you love him, but he could never...
Do you think I could forgive him if he'd done that thing?
I'm not here out of a blue sky, Chris. I turned my back on my father. If there's anything wrong here now...
I know that, Anne.
George is coming from Dad, and I don't think it's with a blessing.
He's welcome here. You've got nothing to fear from George.
Well, tell me that. Just tell me that.
The man is innocent, Anne. Remember, he was falsely accused once, and it put him through hell. How would you behave if you were faced with the same thing again? Annie, believe me, there's nothing wrong for you here. Believe me, kid.
All right. All right, Chris.
Every time I come out here, it looks like playland.
Yeah, I thought you were going to shave.
Just a minute, I just woke up. I can't see anything.
You look shaved.
Oh no, gotta be extra special tonight. Big night, Annie. So how's it feel to be a married woman, huh?
Well, I don't know yet.
What, kid, you slipping?
The great Rui.
What's a Rui?
That's French.
Don't talk dirty.
You ever met a bigger ignoramus?
Well, somebody's got to make a living.
That's telling him.
I don't know. Everybody's getting so educated in this country, there's nobody left to take away the garbage. It's getting so the only dumb ones left are the bosses.
Well, you're not so dumb, Joe.
I know, but you go into our plant, for instance, I got so many lieutenants, majors, and colonels that I'm ashamed to ask anybody to sweep the floor. I got to be careful, I'll insult somebody. I mean, no kidding, it's a tragedy. You stand on the street today and you spit, you hit a college man.
Well, don't spit.
Now, I mean to say it's coming to a pass. You know, I've been thinking, Andy, your brother George. I've been thinking about your brother George. And when he comes here, there's something I'd like you to brooch to him.
Brooch.
What's wrong with brooch?
It's not English.
In night school, it was brooch.
Well, in day school, it's brooch.
Hey, don't surround me. Seriously, Annie. You say he's not well, George? I've been thinking, why should he knock himself out in New York with all that cutthroat competition when I got so many friends here? I'm very friendly with some big lawyers in town. I could set George up here.
Well, it's awfully nice of you, Joe.
No, kid, it ain't nice of me. I want you to understand me. I'm thinking of Chris. See, this is what I mean. You get older, you want to feel like you accomplished something. And Chris here, he's my accomplishment. I ain't brainy. That's all I accomplished. Now, here, 17 months, your father will be a free man. And who's he going to come to, Annie? His baby. You. He'll come, old, mad, into your house.
That can't matter anymore, Joe.
I don't want that hate to come between us.
I can only tell you that that could never happen.
You're in love now, Annie, but believe me, I'm older than you. I know. A daughter's a daughter, father's a father. And it could happen. I'd like you and George to go to him in prison and tell him, Dad, Joe wants to bring you into the business when you get out.
You'd have him as a partner?
No. No partner, but a good job. I want him to know, Annie, while he's sitting there, I want him to know that when he gets out, he's got a place for him. It'll take his bitterness away. To know you got a place. It brings sweetness.
Joe, you owe him nothing.
I owe him a good kick in the teeth, but he's your father.
Then kick him in the teeth. I don't want him in the plant, so that's that. You understand? And besides, don't talk about him like that. People misunderstand you.
And I don't understand why she has to crucify the man.
Well, it's her father. If she feels...
No.
What's it to you?
A father is a father. I better shave. I didn't mean to yell, Annie.
Let's forget the whole thing, Joe.
Right.
Shave,
She
will
is
you?
likable.
Minutes later, Anne's brother George has arrived.
How about some grape juice? Mother made it especially for you.
Yeah, good old Kate. Remembered my grape juice.
You drank enough of it in this house. How you been, George?
That seems impossible.
What?
I'm back here.
Say, you've gotten a little nervous, haven't you?
Yeah, towards the end of the day. So what are you, big executive now?
Just kind of medium. How's the law?
You know, I don't know. I mean, when I was studying in the hospital, it seemed sensible. But outside, there doesn't seem to be much of a law. Trees got thick, didn't they? What's that?
Blew down last night. We had it there for Larry. You know.
Why? Afraid you'll forget him?
What kind of a remark is that?
George, when did you start wearing a hat?
Today. You know, from now on, I decided to look like a lawyer anyway. Well, don't you recognize it?
Why? Where's...
It's your father's. He asked me to wear it.
How is he?
He got smaller.
Smaller?
Yeah. Little. He's a little man. You see, that's what happens to suckers, you know. It's good that I went to him in time. Another year, there'd be nothing left but his smell.
What's the matter, George? What's the trouble?
The trouble? The trouble is that when you make suckers out of people once, you shouldn't try to do it twice.
What's that mean?
You're not married yet, are you?
George, will you just sit down?
Are
and
you
let's-
married yet?
No, I'm not married yet.
You're not going to marry him.
Why? Why am I not going to marry him?
Because his father destroyed our family.
Hey, now look, George.
No, cut it short, Chris. Now tell her to come home with me, and let's not argue. You know what I've got to say.
George, you don't want to be the voice of God, do you?
Oh, I'm the voice of God?
That's been your trouble all your life, George. You dive into things. What kind of a statement is that to make? You're a big boy now.
Oh, I'm a big boy now.
Yeah, don't come bullying in here. Now, I've got something to say. If you've got something to say, be civilized about
Don't
it.
civilize me.
Please,
Are you going to talk to me like a grown man, or aren't you?
sit down, okay? Please. Don't be angry. Now, what's the matter? What happened? You kissed me when I left, and now you're...
Yeah, and my life turned upside down since then. Look, I couldn't go back to work when you left. I wanted to go to Dad and tell him that you were going to be married. I mean, it seemed impossible not to tell him. He loved you so much, Annie. And we did a terrible thing. I mean, we can never be forgiven. Not even to send him a card at Christmas? You know, I didn't see him once since I got home from the war. Annie, you don't know what was done to that man. You don't know what happened.
Of course I know
No,
what
you
happened.
can't know, or you wouldn't be here. Look, Dad came to work that day, and the night foreman came to him and showed him the cylinder heads. They were coming out of the process with defects. There was something wrong with the process. So Dad went directly to the phone, and he called here and told Joe to come down right away. But the morning passed. No sign of Joe. So Dad called again. By this time, they had over 100 defects, and the army was screaming for stuff, and Dad didn't have anything to ship. So Joe told him, on the phone, he told him to weld, to cover up the cracks in any way that he could, and to ship them out.
Are you through now?
No, I am not through now. Now, Dad was afraid. He wanted Joe there if he was going to do it, but Joe can't come down. He's sick. Sick. I mean, he suddenly gets the flu, suddenly, but he promised to take responsibility. Do you understand what I am saying? On the telephone, you can't have responsibility. In a court, you can always deny a phone call, and that's exactly what he did. I mean, they knew he was a liar the first time, But in the appeal, they believed that rotten lie, and now Joe is a big shot, and your father is the patsy. Now, what are you going to do? Eat his food, sleep in his bed? Answer me. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do, George?
Well, he's too smart for me. I can't prove a phone call.
Then how dare you come in here with that rot?
George, the court,
Yeah,
they
the
knew
court
it.
didn't know your father, but you know him. You know in your heart that Joe did it.
Lower your voice or I'll throw you out of here.
See, she knows. She knows.
Get him out of here, Ann. Get him out of here.
George, I know everything that you've said. Dad told the whole thing in court. And
The court did not know him, Annie.
Shh, okay. He'll say anything, George. You know how quick he can lie.
Okay, look, I'll ask you something. And look me in the eye when you answer me.
I'll look you in the eye.
Now, you know your father.
I know him well.
And he's the kind of boss to let 121 cylinder heads be repaired and shipped out of his shop without even knowing about it?
He's that kind of boss.
And that's the same Joe Keller who never left this shop without first going around to see that all the lights were turned out.
The same Joe Keller.
The same man who knows how many minutes a day his workers spend in the toilet.
The same man.
And my father, that frightened mouse who would never buy a shirt without somebody along, that man would dare do such a thing on his own?
On his own. And because he's a frightened mouse, this is another thing he'd do. Throw the blame on somebody else because he's not man enough to take it himself. He tried it in court, but it didn't work. But with a fool like you, it works.
Chris, you are a liar to yourself.
Don't talk like that.
Tell me, George, what happened? The court record was good enough for you all these years. Why isn't it good now? Why do you believe it all these years?
Because you believed it. Now that's the truth, Chris. I believed everything because I thought you did. But today, I heard it from his mouth. And from his mouth, it is altogether different than the record. Anyone who knows him and knows your father will believe it from his mouth. Your dad took everything we have, and I can't beat that. But she is the one item he is not going to grab. Now get your things. Everything in this house is covered with blood. And you're not the kind of girl who can live with that. Get your things.
Ann, you're not going to believe that, are you?
You know it's not true, don't you?
But how can he tell you that? It's his father. Look, none of these things ever even crossed your mind.
Yes, they cross my mind. Anything
See?
can cross your
He
mind.
knows, Annie, he knows.
The voice of God.
Then why isn't your name on the business? Explain that to her.
What the hell has that got to do with anything?
Annie, why isn't his name on the business?
Even when I don't own it.
I mean, who are you kidding? Who gets it when he dies? Open your eyes. You both know, you know the both of them. Isn't that the first thing that they do? The way they love each other? J.O. Keller and Son. All right, I'll settle it. What, do you want to settle it or are you afraid to?
What do you mean?
Let me go up and talk to your father. In 10 minutes, you'll have the answer.
I'm not afraid of the answer. I know the answer. But my mother isn't well, and I don't want to fight here now.
Let me go to him.
You're not going to start a fight here now.
See, what more do you want?
Look, someone is coming.
You
okay,
won't
George?
say anything now.
You go soon. I'll call you a cab.
You're coming with me.
No, and don't mention anything of marriage because we haven't told her yet.
You're coming with me.
You understand? Don't, George. You're not going to start anything now, okay? Shh.
Georgie!
Hello, Kate.
Oh, they made an old man out of you. Look, you're gray.
I know.
I told you when you went away, don't try for medals.
Oh, I didn't try, Kate. They made it very easy for me.
Go on, you're all alike. Look at him. Why did you say he's fine? He looks like a ghost.
Well, I feel all right.
Oh, I'm sick to look at you. What's the matter with your mother? Why doesn't she feed you?
He just hasn't any appetite.
Well, if he ate in my house, he'd have an appetite. I pity your husband. Sit down. I'll make you a sandwich.
I'm really not hungry.
Honest to God, it breaks my heart to see what happened to all the children. How we worked and planned for you, and you ended up no better than us.
You haven't changed at all. You know that, Kate?
None of us changed, Georgie. We all love you. Joe was just talking about the day you were born and the water got shut off. People were carrying basins from a block away. A stranger would have thought the whole neighborhood was on fire. Why didn't you give him some juice?
Well, I offered it to him.
You offered it to him. Give it to him. And now you're going to sit here and drink some juice and look like something.
Kate, I feel hungry already.
She could turn Mahatma Gandhi into a heavyweight.
Listen, to hell with the restaurant. I got a ham in the icebox and frozen strawberries and avocados.
Swell. I'll help you.
The train leaves at 8:30, Ann.
You're leaving?
No, Mother, she's not leaving.
You hardly got here. Give yourself a chance to get acquainted again.
Sure, you don't even see us anymore.
Well, Chris, if they can't stay, don't...
No, it's just a question of George, Mother. He planned on...
Now, wait a minute, Chris.
Now, if you want to go, I'll drive you to the station now. But if you're staying, no arguments while you're here.
Why should he argue? Georgie and us have no argument. How could we have an argument, Georgie? We all got hit by the same lightning. How can you... did you see what happened to Larry's tree, Georgie? Imagine. While I was dreaming of him in the middle of the night, the wind came along and...
Well, look who's here, Georgie. It's good to see you.
How are you, Joe?
So, getting old. Coming out to dinner with us?
No. Got to be back in New York.
I'll call you a cab.
Yeah, too bad you can't stay, George. Sit down. You look fine.
He looks terrible.
That's what I said. You look terrible. I wear the pants in this family, and she beats me with the belt.
I saw your factory on the way in from the station. Looks like General Motors.
I wish we were General Motors, but it ain't. So sit down, George, sit down. Finally got to see your father right here.
Yes, this morning.
Yeah.
So, what kind of stuff do you make now?
Oh, a little of everything. Pressure cookers, assembly for washing machines. Got a nice flexible plant now. So, how'd you find your dad? Is he all right?
No, he's not well, Joe.
Not his heart again, was it?
It's everything, Joe. It's his soul.
Uh-huh.
How about seeing what they did with your house?
Oh, leave him be.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to him.
Sure, he just got here. That's the way they do, George. Little man makes a mistake, they hang him up by his thumbs. The big ones become ambassadors. I wish you'd told me you're going to see your dad.
I didn't know you were interested.
Sure, yeah, in a way I am. I mean, I'd like him to know, George, that is, as far as I'm concerned, anytime he wants, he's got a place with me. I'd like him to know that.
He hates your guts, Joe. Don't you know that?
I imagined it, but that can change.
Okay, Steve was never like that.
He's like that now. He'd like to take every man who made money in the war and put him up against a wall.
He'd need a lot of bullets.
And he'd better not get any.
That's a sad thing to hear.
Why? What did you expect him to think of you?
I'm sad to see he hadn't changed. As long as I knew him, 25 years, the man, he never learned how to take blame. You know that, George.
Well,
But you know it. Because when you come here, you don't look like you remember it. I mean, in 1937, when we had the shop on Flood Street, and he damn near blew us all up with that heater he left burning for 2 days without water, he wouldn't admit that was his fault either. I had to fire a mechanic to save his face. You remember that?
well, yes, but...
No, I'm just mentioning it, George, because that's just another one of a lot of things. Oh, like when he gave Frank that money to invest in oil stock?
Yeah, I know that. But
Yeah, it's good to remember those things, kids. The way he cursed Frank because the stock went down. How was that Frank's fault? Yeah, to listen to him, Frank was a swindler. All the man did was give him a bad tip.
Yeah, I know those things.
Yeah,
but
well,
then-
then remember, okay? Remember then. There's certain men in the world who would rather see everybody hang before they'll take the blame. You understand that, George?
The cab is on its way. Would you like to wash?
Why must he go? Make the midnight, George.
Sure. You'll have dinner with us.
Well, how about it? Why not? We're eating at the lake. We could have a swell time.
All right.
Now you're talking.
I've got a shirt that'll go great with that suit.
Size 15 and a half, right, George? I'll get you a date.
Oh, no, I don't want a date.
I know somebody just for you.